The first type of testing is called unit testing. If you remember, we spoke about unit or module earlier. The example which I quoted, I hope you recollect. Let us go back to the same example, income tax software. I am preparing an income tax computation software under which, let us say, instead of 5 modules, there are about 7 to 8 modules. Out of that, 5 modules speak about the 5 heads of income. In this case, if I perform a testing only of one of the head, say income from salary, or I perform a testing only of one of the head, let us say business income, this would be called as unit testing. A unit is basically an individual unit which is identifiable, and normally the testing here is performed by the programmer. That means the guy or the person who's developed it, he himself verifies and tests it. So unit is the smallest testable part of an application, and it is done to ensure that the code meets the design standards and behaves in the intended manner. This unit testing can be bucketed under various categories. Let us spend a few minutes under each of these categories. The first type of a unit testing is called functional testing. Functional testing evaluates whether the software is performing the required activity. In other words, whatever it is supposed to do, is the software performing. Let us give a simple example. We were speaking about income from other sources or income from salary. So let us pick up income from salary. The programmer gives certain test data and calculates whether the system is calculating income from salary correctly. Say for example, he is given 10,000 rupees as salary, and let us say 800 or 1000 rupees as a tax-free allowance. That means taxable salary should be 9,000. That is what a programmer verifies, and that is what is called as a functional test, whether they are working in the intended manner. Test number 2 is called performance. Performance speaks about the execution time, the processing time, the speed, how much quantum of memory is utilized. All of these are evaluated. To give an example, in the existing or the manual system, let us say 10 records are processed in 3 minutes, whereas in the new system 10 records are processed in 25 minutes. The entire purpose is failed. Therefore, performance tests focus on the execution time, the response. When I give a query, how soon am I able to get a response? That is what is the focus from a performance testing. The next is an important category called as stress testing. I'm sure most of us come under stress whenever the due date is approaching. Why? Because the time involved is short, or resources available is short, work is large. Similarly is what is stress test. You identify the stability of the system. You overload the program in multiple ways. You ask many users to work on the same software, or many users to work on the same unit. Is the system failing? Or one tool itself, I give loads and loads. That means I might give hundreds of instructions to the computer. I check whether the computer works, or is the computer failing, or the program failing. That is what is the focus from a stress test. Next we have a structural test. Structural test is more to do with the internal logic. How is the internal logic working? More from a programmer perspective. And then you have a very important test called parallel test. Wherever the data saving is critical or data functionality is critical, we adopt a parallel test. Parallel test is you perform the activity under the old process, you also perform the activity under the new process. The results of both the processes are compared. Ideally, both of them should be the same. I hope you have understood what are the categories of unit tests. So what are the categories? 5 categories of unit tests: functional, performance, stress, structural, parallel test.